Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Heather. Today we are doing something brand new. Well, brand new depending on when you watch this, but a new release pattern that I am so excited about, you guys. Today we are doing the Zora bag from the bag Goddess. Are you ready? Do you want to see? It's a shoulder bag. Okay, let me give you a little. It's a shoulder bag. Not a crossbody bag or a handbag or a wristlet. It goes on your shoulder. There are a couple of different strap options, and she is beautiful. Are you ready? Look at that. Have you ever used one of those in bag making before? Because I have not. And it was a first for me. You guys know I love doing things for the first time. It was so cool. Magnetic snap closure. And look at, do you see that? It's a bow zipper overlay. Do you need it? You do. Am I sure? Yes, I am. This bag is so fun to make, and I am so excited to go over it with you today. Let me just close her back up here. We are using piping, and it came out so good, you guys. I'm like here for it. I don't use a lot of piping because it just, I don't know. Sometimes your girl is lazy. But piping really brings a bag together and gives it a really cool shape that it wouldn't have had without piping. So I think that's really cool. You have a few different options for interfacing, which is really awesome also, because sometimes you don't want to use something super heavy, and so you don't have to. We do the strap just a little different. So we're doing one webbing side and one faux leather side. And you guys, I'm going to tell you this too. I believed that I was going to use these when I was making this bag. These are strap holders that are metal, and I thought I was going to use them because I had no idea how I was going to make this. Turns out I scrapped the metal. What's happening? I scrapped the metal and ended up figuring out how to make these, and so I show you how to do that in the pattern instead in the video. All right, well, let's get into our materials and our sewing so you can start to see how quick and easy this comes together. Seriously, it looks way harder than it is, I promise. All right, so here we are with our materials, and as always, you guys, I will link absolutely everything that I can in the description box below, so make sure that you expand that out to see what's linked in there, because I always try. All right, so for our exterior, we're using this shimmery faux burlap. It's actually a vinyl, but it looks like it's got like a burlap texture. It's from Oh So Pretty Custom Fabrics, and I have gone ahead and interfaced with Decoville Light. So there is the choice in the pattern. You can use Decoville Light or Decoville Heavy. Heavy is going to give you obviously a more structured bag, and Light is going to be a little easier to work with. So we're going to go with Light today. We have all of our exterior pieces, our gusset, everything is interfaced. And then we have our flat pieces. Okay, so here you could use 2 exterior pieces. We're not doing that though, because I don't want to worry about bulk basically. So we have 1 exterior, 1 interior. Obviously they'll be sewn together like this. And then we've got our Decoville Light to go sandwich in between those once we put everything together. And then our interior materials, you guys, oh, how cute is this? A bow for a zipper facing? Yes. Here for it, okay. And then we've got our zip tape. And now our interior materials and what you saw on the flap. This is a waterproof canvas, and this is also from Oh So Pretty Custom Fabrics. So I guess that's how we're rolling today. So we've got our pocket pieces, our gusset, and our 2 main panels. And this is like it's a nice nice weight, so I think that it's gonna hold up really nicely and help us with that structure piece. So I'm not worried about that at all. We are using, this is a faux leather for our strap. This way we don't have to put a strap together. You guys know, if I can find something that doesn't include making a strap, that's what we're gonna do. So we've got this. And then I wanted to show you all in the pattern, there are great instructions for strap holders that are made in a circle with your material, and it's kind of like a belt and like a belt loop is what I would describe it as. But I also wanted to show you that you could use these strap holders instead of that loop, so sort of like in place of that. So that's what we're going to use here today, I hope. Maybe it won't work out, but that's what we're planning. Okay, and this is in gunmetal to match our zipper. And then we are using pre-made piping. So this bag does have piping, and I will tell you, you don't have to use the piping. You're still gonna get a good result, but this is pre-made piping. Hopefully you can get a good look. There we go. Pre-made piping, and this is from Glitterbug Fairy. I think it's gonna go really well with what we have, and it's gonna save us a little bit of time too, and we're still gonna get that really nice piped look. So that's what that is. And we've got our custom bag tag from Heartwood and Hide Co. We have 2 roller buckles, which I've never used before. So this will be fun. This is gonna be for our strap and put onto our gussets. And then we've got, sorry guys, I'm hitting you by accident. These are magnetic snap rivets in that gunmetal color. And so we're gonna use our Cam Snaps rivet press to put in these magnetic snaps on our flap. I think, you guys, that that's all of our material. If you've seen me before, you know there's a chance we've missed something. If we do, I'll point it out. But let's head on over to the machine and get going. All right, you guys, so we are at the machine, which is a Juki TL2010Q. We are using Tex 35 weight thread from Wizardry Stitchery in the top and the bobbin. We have a Microtex 9014 needle, and we're using our tank foot here. I think that's all the logistics of what we're doing today. So we're gonna get into it with just a little bit of prep work here, okay? We are working on our piping prep and our flap prep. Sorry guys. So we have already done the prep on one side of our piping, and this is just making it easier for us to turn. So we're going to do the other side together before we move on to the flap. Okay, so there is a measurement in the pattern, and we're just following along with that. And so we're going to make 2 lines following the measurement. Okay. And then we are just going to cut like a U/V right in between those lines, and not through the piping, just sort of our excess material here. Like so. And that'll just make it easier for us when we go to attach this later. So the other prep work we did, we punched 2 holes in some of our Decaville Heavy, which is just scrap pieces. We also drew our lines on both of our flat pieces. Okay. And we have our dots for our magnetic snaps. Now, you use the pattern piece for this, which is why I did it off camera, and this is our lining, so this will be inside the flap. So these are where you want to mark this, not on the exterior. And because we are using the magnetic snaps. You won't actually get to see me fully put these in place, but that's okay. We are gonna pull out the male ends. So we have 2 caps. Those are the female. Here we go. Here we go. I like using these because I just think they're really super secure. They're so easy. There we go. So those are the pieces we need for now. We'll use these again when we set the female parts of our snaps. Now, you could here go ahead and punch out the holes, but we're just gonna put our seam ripper in there. See if we can work it around a little bit. The issue, if you try to use the hole punch, the cam snaps hole punch to punch this, is it's like not thick enough. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And so it doesn't really punch a hole. All right, let's get our handheld guy out. Okay, we'll seam through the excess Decaville heavy. Okay. Let's see what we're working with here. There we go. Solid. Okay, and then you just snap the rivet cap on. Like so. We are going to have to set that, which is the part that you won't see, but that is all right. All right. And just like that, the closures are pretty much done. So I'm just going to set these and then we'll come back together and sew our flap together. All right, so we're all set in place and we have that extra Decaville layer, so feel really good about that. What we want to do now is put the right sides of our flaps together, and we're going to clip all the way around. We're not sewing down here. This will actually end up turning in, and you'll see what I mean. If you wanted to, you could pre-do this, but we're going to wait until after we sort of sew everything together and get it flipped. So I'm just going to continue to pin everything together and then we'll start sewing. All right, so we are totally clipped around, and I have gone ahead and just pinned down a little bit at the top here because we're going to sew over it and it will help us later. So I've done that on both sides per the instructions. They have you put the whole thing down. We're not going to do that just yet because we don't necessarily need to, so we're just going to do what we need, basically. All right. And then we're just going to start sewing. And we're going to follow the curves to the best of our ability here. And we're just going to be really careful as we get to the spots that have our snaps and our rivets. Especially if you're using prongs, you just want to make sure that you don't get anywhere near those. Definitely don't want to sew through them. Okay, and we're coming back up to this top curve here. And just make sure you do a nice back stitch. And we're going to take our peeking shears and keep our fingers crossed that they're working, and we're just going to go around anywhere where there's a curve. Make it a little easier for that material to go ahead and fold in on itself. Sometimes these work great and sometimes not so much. It's the material. I have my son put these through aluminum foil every once in a while for me. Here we go. Okay, and if you don't have peeking shears, or if yours are working like mine are, you can just sort of make slits into your curves, and it should do what you're hoping for also. Just give it some space to sort of move and turn in. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and turn that out. And just get in there and make sure you push all your edges. Including those top corners. Such a cool shape, you guys. Look at that. Okay, so we're just going to keep sort of working out these edges where we want them. I'm going to try to get our corners as round as possible. Okay, so we're going to keep doing that, and then we're going to put our Decaville just right inside, not adhered to anything, just placed in there. And then we'll use a couple clippies to just keep everything where we want it so that when we top stitch, we're feeling and looking good. So I'm going to keep doing that, and when I feel good about where we're at, we will go ahead and top stitch. All right, we're all clipped up, and we're just going to do a nice top stitch along everywhere except the spots that are open on purpose. And, you know, I think I'm just going to go ahead and clip these together now at this point as well, and then we'll top stitch. And so where I can feel and see that it's thick, I'm just taking a little bit of extra time to make sure that we don't skip any stitches on our top stitch. And I'm just gonna, again, be mindful of where our snap is. And it is pretty close to the edge here, so just be careful. Okay, again, we're coming to another section where we have our snap. Okay, and we're just gonna get a back stitch in here. There we go. All set. And now we're gonna attach this to our back panel. Our front and back panels are exactly the same, so we're just gonna grab one and make it our back. Okay, so the pattern gives you instructions on how far down on your panel, and we have gone ahead and made just a mark so that we can line it up. And we have everything sort of folded over where we want it to be. And we're gonna go ahead and do 2 rows of stitching. Okay, 1/8 of an inch from the side, and then another 1/8 of an inch up from there. And we're just sort of making sure that it's centered where we want it. And I'm just going to be really mindful of where I know that there's bulk there on the edges. You're also sewing through Decaville, so keep that in mind. We just hit something. And again. So yeah, just be mindful. This is why we did not do 2 layers of vinyl. But if you have a machine that can handle it, like, totally go for it. I'm just making sure that we sort of stay on that line. You can tape this down if you want, whatever you're comfortable with. All right, I'm just going to take a look at that first row of stitches, make sure that it's good. Looks good. All right, so we'll do our second. Now you can place a rivet on each side of this as well if you would like. Again, we're doing a nice back stitch. All right, there we go. Second row complete, and I think that looks great. Feel confident. We might put rivets. I don't know. We might. All right, we're gonna do our bag tag now. Because our flap goes down on the front, I don't want too much going on in the front, and that big beautiful bow overlay is gonna be in the back. On the inside, where I would also normally put our bag tags. So we're just gonna put it on the back. And we have our center marking still. So just underneath that flap there, and then we'll stitch around. And when you're sewing a bag tag on, you're just doing a top stitch, so 1/8 of an inch around the whole thing. And we're just cutting off our excess here quickly. So we're almost back to where we started. Okay. There we go. All done. All right, we're gonna move on to basting on our piping. And so I'm just going to find the center of our piping and match it with the center of the bag. Let's put a nice little slit in there. Okay, so you want your pipe, the part with the harder part, to be just right there up. Okay, so not right here on the edge because we're basting. And we do have curves here, something to think about. So when we get over here to the corners, we're just going to make slits in our piping that will help sort of fan it out. Okay. And I'm going to show you this on one, but we're going to do it on the front and the back. So see how we're just sort of pushing and fanning? We're just going to keep doing that. Okay. And then where you made that V is where you're turning your piping out. Okay. All right. So we are gonna do the same thing for this side, and then I'll show you how to baste this on. All right, so we're all clipped, and we're just gonna go ahead and baste all the way around. I'm just gonna grab my screwdriver in case we need it. I think we might. And a baste, you guys, just a 1/4 inch, an 1/8 of an inch, excuse me, away from the edge. So really we're just trying to plug this onto the panel, that's all. And I'm just using the screwdriver to basically keep everything where we want it. And just take your time around the corners. You want everything to just be like as flat as possible. And this is just a baste, it's not a final stitch, so it's not a huge deal if you don't get something or whatever the case may be. The prep work that you do for this bag, like putting this piping on, that's going to be what really sort of makes the difference in the end for how well your bag looks. And I don't do piping all the time, so definitely, like, if I can do it, you can do it. It is definitely easier with pre-made piping, I will tell you that. there, you guys. Okay. I think we're pretty good. We basted. She's on. Yeah, we're okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the piping on the front exactly the same way, and then we're gonna work on our gusset. All right, so we are on to our gusset and creating our side panel connectors. We were originally going to use metal for this piece, but actually decided against it because the metal that we had, it just didn't really go all the way over our material, and I really didn't like it. So we are sticking more closely with the original pattern, but because we're using this faux leather material for our handle and our connectors, really what I did here was I just cut this in half to get the piece, the loop piece that we needed. So I did find it a little bit easier. So I've done this one. We're going to do the other one together. So we have everything that we need. Off camera, quickly, I am just going to use the pattern piece to make the dots for how we make our slit here. So I'm going to make those dots and then we'll make the slit together. Okay, so we have our dots and we're just going to take our hole punch . Okay, and then super easy, you guys. We're just going to cut right up to that hole, and we're just making sort of our slit. And because this material is fine raw edge, like we don't need to do anything else to it. It's going to be good to go. Okay, just like that. Just like that. And then before we do anything else, we're just going to line up our piece so that it's right below our mark. And we're going to go ahead and just stitch on and you won't see this because our handle is going to come through and it'll cover our stitches, but I find it easiest to go ahead and stitch one side on, and then we're just going to take that other side and come around like so, and then we're just going to sort of bump ourselves out of the way here a little bit. This is probably the most difficult part. Okay, and then we're gonna come up here and just do a little stitch up here also, just to secure this section in place. And like I said, you won't see these at all, so we're just gonna trim our thread. Come in here, trim all this up. Okay, there we go. There we go. Isn't that so much easier than it looks? All right, then we're just gonna pop our hook in there and fold over like so. See how nice that comes out? I've never used these buckles before, and let me tell you, I'm like, what? What is happening? All right. And like I said, this material can remain raw edged. It is a faux leather. Okay. So we're just going to clip it for now, and then I am going to use a pattern piece once again, so I'll do it off camera, just to mark where the top of our loop needs to go. Also, I love, love, love when a pattern gives you exactly where you're supposed to put things and you don't have to measure. I hate measuring. It's not for me. All right, so we're just going to line up. You can see those dots right there. We're just lining up basically that bottom bar with those dots. And then we're going to stitch a box just like we did on the other side. And we are back stitching here. I know some people don't like to back stitch. I am not one of those people. I am a back stitch all day girl. And you're not going to see this stitch either. The handle will come down and cover it, but we're going to make it look nice and pretty anyways. I don't know what's going on today. There we go. We're on the struggle, but look how good this looks. It is so cute. I'm like half contemplating putting a rivet in there. I feel like I should. We're going to pop a rivet in. So we're just gonna put a hole, I guess right here in the center, maybe right underneath. Oh, I don't know. I feel like that's too floppy. It won't be though when we hold up the strap. You know what? I'm gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it. I'm talking to myself and you guys. All right, we do have to switch out our foot. Gonna put on the zip foot so that we can get close to the piping. If I had a piping foot, I would put that on, but I don't. So we're gonna put the zip foot on because, believe it or not, we're ready to put our exterior pieces all together, which is so exciting. So I'm gonna take my favorite tank off for now. Put our zipper foot on. I'm not a huge fan of sewing with the zipper foot, but we do need to get nice and close to that piping for it to turn out really nicely, and this is the only way to do that. Okay, all right. So we are gonna go ahead and grab our front panel. Okay, right side up. Gonna find the center of our gusset piece. And we're gonna mark it on both sides. Okay. And I'm just gonna find our center marking on our front panel. I'm gonna match the two center markings together. And we're just clipping across the bottom for the time being. And we're gonna stop before we get to those curves. We are clipping right sides together. Okay, all right. And then we're just gonna come up here and we're gonna clip the top. And this actually fits perfect. Sometimes you have to slit into a gusset to get it to sort of fit where you want, but this folds over perfectly. Okay, we'll do the same thing over here. Line ourselves up with the top. And again, this is lining up perfect, so we don't have to slit anything. We're just going to clip it. You could use staples here if you're worried about something moving. I'm not super worried about that, so we're just going to sew it as is. Okay, all right, so this is what we're working with. Look at how cute that piping is going to look. All right, we're going to go ahead and use the seam allowance given in the pattern. Just keeping in mind that piping. We're going to feel for where it begins. Make sure we stay lined up. I'm going to grab my screwdriver here just to help hold everything down. we are gonna have to walk that over. The zipper foot does not do well with a change in height of materials. And so right now we're getting right next to that piping, which is what we're looking for. We'll probably have to go back in with a traditional foot just to get over that piping where it sort of curves out. Okay, and just do your best to keep everything flat where you're sewing. Try to continue to keep your eye on where that piping is. Obviously, around these corners is going to be the most difficult part. And I'm not talking a lot because I'm really concentrating. You know when you like are really focusing on something? That's where I'm at. That's where my head's at. Just wanting to make sure that we sort of stay aligned, that we get that nice shape of this bag here on the bottom. It does sort of go up in the middle. Okay, we're coming back to a corner here and another curve. Hey guys, we're almost there. Okay, we're coming back up to where it changes height. Okay, last little bit here. All right. Yeah, so see here, if you can see those longer stitches, so that skipped because, and same thing over here, the foot does not do changes in height, and so that's why I really dislike using it. But we need it. It's necessary for us to get nice and close to that piping because the rest of it's going to come out fire. So good. So I am going to talk you through what I'm going to do next because I'm going to do it off camera. I'm going to sew on the back exactly the same way that I just sewed on the front. So we're just going to plop it down, match up the centers, stitch it on, and then I will change my foot back to my fave tank foot, and I'll go back over just those little bits that skip stitches where our piping comes out. Cut off our excess piping and flip the bag. So I'm going to do that all off camera because, again, we're doing exactly what we just did to attach the other panel. So it's the same. Just make sure that you're doing right sides together. So you should be looking at the wrong sides of your bag. All right. We have everything turned, and look how good our piping looks. We also have our holes for the second part of our magnetic snap closures. And the way that we found those were we just folded over and made marks where our current snap pieces fall on the front. We also have another piece of scrap Decaville heavy that we're using. And then we're just going to pop that in. And this is why I love these rivet magnetic snaps so much. They are so simple to put in. Okay, I'm just going to take this over to the press, permanently set these female parts of the snaps, and then we're going to build our interior and put the whole bag together. All right, so we have to build our pocket. I feel like something just fell, and I don't know what it was. Our pretty bow. So we have one of our panels, and we have double-sided tape on our bow. And we're just going to peel the double-sided tape. I found the centers also on the top and the bottom of this panel, and we're just going to center this. I'm so excited about this zipper overlay. I have been seeing people do all kinds of cool shapes and stuff like that, and I just have not done it yet. And this will be the first time, and I think I've said it in previous videos, but I'm here for the bow, you guys. All right. There we go. I think that that's a good spot because we are turning down our top here. We don't want it to be too close. All right, so now what we're gonna do is just like a regular zipper overlay, except this is fancier and prettier. We're gonna go around all the outsides of this whole bow, okay? 1/8 of an inch around the whole thing. And you can go ahead and start wherever you feel comfortable. I'm gonna start just down here. Move you guys back over. And I am going to backstitch. I don't know, have any of you ever done shaped zipper overlays before? If so, what kinds have you done? I have actually really been wanting to do some of those horror ones. Those look so fun. Not that I'm trying to get spooky season to arrive early. right now where we are, it is winter, very wintry and awful. And I'm not going to push summer away. Spooky season can be all the time anyways. We know this. And we are going down around those bow tails also here, so just keep that in mind. And just have fun with this, you guys. It's meant to be fun. And actually you're going to be this is obviously the most difficult part of the lining, but after we're done with this goes together really quickly. We really did our prep work on that exterior, which is setting us up to have this bag come together really quickly. Which is kind of amazing because it looks like it's a bag that takes a long time. Okay, this is our last bow tail before we head back on up to meet with where we started. Perfect. All right, you guys, we are gonna find our seam ripper. Look at how cute. I can't, I literally can't. We're just gonna seam rip down the center so we know where we're at. We're gonna find our scissors here somewhere. Oh, there we go. And this does not have to be pretty. If you've never done a zipper overlay before, you just want to make sure that you get in here, you pull away your vinyl because you don't want to cut through that, but you're just cutting away inside where you just sewed. This is going to give us a nice big zip opening. And from the front, it will look beautiful. From here, obviously, not so much. We're not going to go down and cut out those ribbon ends because there's really no need to. Okay, there we go. Now, obviously from here it looks not nice, but boom, there we go. Beautiful. Okay, let's attach our zipper panels now. So these go long way. You can clip this if you want, but we are just going to go ahead and baste this on. So right side up and right side of your zipper tape up as well. Same thing over here. Okay, we're going to grab our double-sided tape one more time. And we're just flattening out our panels because we are going to sew these flat. So we want to try to get them sort of finger pressed as flat as possible, because when we sew our zipper box, that's what we're stitching on. Okay, and we're just putting that zipper tape right on the edge of the zipper. Just try to crease that as good as possible. Okay, now we're going to put our zipper pull on. And I like to put the tape and all that before the zipper pull because the pull creates just a little bump naturally by being put on, and I just like to keep everything straight for as long as possible. Okay, there we go. Push one more time, and then we're gonna peel the other side of our double-sided tape on both sides. And there are a lot of ways to do pockets like this, so if you don't like how this is done and you have a different way, like, you do you. All right, we're just gonna center. Our tape is coming off from before. We're just going to center our pocket to the best of our ability, and then we're going to just go in there, push down that double-sided tape, sort of line ourselves up where we think we might want to be. On both sides here. And this just takes some finagling, so don't stress about it. Let's try to get it as straight as possible. And then we're just going to stitch around the entire interior of the box with our top panel up and our bottom panel down. And again, there are multiple ways to do these panels, so if you have a way that you like better, then you go for that. We're just going to start here on the bottom. Just going to make sure that we go far enough outside of our zipper box. Take our time over our teeth. Rearranging this just a tiny bit. Looks like we're slightly off. I'll go ahead and move our zip also. Okay, it's a little better. Just make sure that you have put your zipper pull on before you sew this box, or else you'll be very upset later. And just right back to where we started. I can also see that we just skipped a few stitches over here. So I'm just going to go back in. Don't want that to be the case on our zip. Just double down over there. All right, there we go. So that is in, looking good. Now you just want to bring your panel down. We're going to cut off our excess. Definitely don't want that to be in our seam allowance. Okay, and then we're just going to come in here and sew the rest of the sides together, finishing off our zip pocket. And we do that with our main interior face up so that we don't accidentally sew over it. Alright, that is good to go. We're just gonna see if we can pop in here, melt down our zipper ends. Don't want those to fray over time. We're also just gonna chop off our corners just to make sure they do not get in our way later. Okay, all set. That's it. And that's the only pocket we have on the inside, guys. So what we're going to do now, I'm actually going to do off camera because it's exactly the same thing that we did on the exterior. So we're just going to match our centers, right sides together, and we're going to stitch our lining pieces. See how easy this is, you guys? Look how fast. we're going to stitch our lining pieces together just the same way that we stitched our exterior pieces together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm not going to flip this. We're going to keep this as it is, and then we will put it inside of our bag and do our top stitch, which is almost the last step before our handle. All right, so there is our lining. Beautiful. We're going to bring over our bag. And actually, you know what? I'm going to cut some of our excess lining off here towards the bottom just to get rid of some of that bulk. Help it sit nicer. Do that on both sides. All right. Got some pieces off. So we just want to take our interior and drop it right in. Okay, like so. Very nice. Very nice fit. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, you guys, is I am folding. This is a drop-in lining. So I'm just folding our interior to match, centers to center, with our exterior, and then I'm just putting it into those clips that we have sort of already in place here. Okay, I'm going to do that all the way around our bag and get it ready for top stitching. All right, you guys, we have a perfect fit, and I love when that happens. It doesn't happen all the time. Trust me when I tell you that. It does not happen all the time. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and top stitch, and I'm gonna top stitch because we don't have a cylinder arm, we have a flatbed, so that our bobbin is actually what's gonna be on the outside, but I am totally fine with that. We're gonna start just where we'll be under the flap when it's closed. I don't know what is stopping us here. The flap, maybe? There we go. Okay, so we're just gonna pull this back piece right back up. All right, there we go. We're ready. I hope you can see, but I'm gonna make sure that we top stitch really nicely, so if you can't see, I'm sorry. Our back piece is getting pulled down by the flap a little bit. So just be mindful of that to make sure you're actually top stitching on both layers. And we are going to have a little bit of bulky bits where our seams come together, but it's not too bad. Shouldn't be an issue for us. I'm just going to move this bag as we sort of move around. And so we're coming to that first bulky bit here. So we're just going to take our time. Sorry, guys. You can hear that go through that bulkiness. So again, that's where taking your time just comes in handy. And we're gonna have just 4 sections like that. So now we're coming up on the second section. There we go. All right, now we're on to the front. So we're just gonna try to keep this as straight as possible. And we're coming back to what will be a bulky bit here in a second. So we are just taking our time here, making sure we don't sew over any metal pieces. Okay, one last bulky bit. We're almost done. I can see it. Okay, last little bulk. Okay, right back to where we started. Woo! We did it, you guys. Did it. Everything looks good. Top stitch caught everything. Okay. Just gonna tuck those in. A little bit. See what we got, see what we're working with here. All right, you guys. We're looking good. The last thing we need to do is attach our strap. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we're going to construct our strap just a little different. Instead, because we're using this material that isn't like foldable to make something, we're going to use webbing on one side and the material on the other to make the strap. And so I'm just going to stitch these together. I've cut them both to the same length. Okay, and we're just gonna stitch down all 4 sides. And I'm just gonna do my best to make sure that we sort of stay on par for where we should be. I bet this is a job for a Teflon foot, and that's why we're struggling just a little bit. But it's too late now. We've come this far. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Try to help it along a little bit. Okay, that is better. It's interesting sewing because there are so many things to sort of figure out, like what foot works best with what material. Obviously, our material has stretched out a little bit because it's now coming over our webbing, so that was a little bit of our issue there. Okay, and now we're just gonna work down the other side. And I'm like really helping this along here. You have two options for strap length, and we went with the shorter option. Alright, we're just gonna chop that off right there. I'm just gonna burn the edges of our webbing down. It's actually a pretty hefty strap, so I'm okay with it. It didn't sew super great, but you know what? That happens. That happens sometimes. All right, I'm just gonna pause really quick because I have to use a pattern piece just to make the holes that we need in order to go through our buckles. All right, our holes are made, so we're just gonna grab our hole punch tool again. Just kind of want to make sure that you hear that like punching sound. It seems like we're having a little bit of trouble going through. We're just gonna clean out our hole punch a little. see if that helps us at all. Not really. Okay. We might have to grab the other hole punch. We're through the leather, but not the webbing. So let's see what we've got going on here. All right, I'm just gonna finish making these holes and then we'll pop our strap in. All right, we finished punching our holes. Wow, that was difficult. I don't know if it was I'd lost all my hand strength by the time we were at that point, or like what what it was that was going on, but we did it. So we punched 2 holes, one here and one that we went through, and it just gives you like a cool option, right? So like that's one of the things I like about this bag, is that there are options. You can make the strap a little longer, a little shorter. Again, we just have those 2 magnetic snaps. We've got our pocket and our pretty bow zip overlay. We have our piping. Let me just close this. Let me close this baby up. This is a good size bag, you guys. It is 11.5 inches wide, 7 inches high, and 3 inches deep. Look at that. It's so cute. I love it. It is like, it's sleek. It looks a lot more difficult to make than it really is. I do a lot of different patterns at a lot of different difficulties, and I think this one is pretty doable. And here is what I'll say. If you don't feel confident about these side connectors, like use metal ones or sew them right into the top of the gusset with like a D-ring. There are so many different options. Like you could make this your own, and so you can leave out the piping, right? So like if you are a beginner bag maker, you love this shape, you want to try it, and you're not sure, get the pattern. Make a few modifications, strip it down, make it as simple as possible, and then build your techniques from there. It is so doable for everybody. Seriously, I promise. This bag did not take a super long time, and just the end result. Look at that shine. I mean, it's so cool. So cool. I want to thank the Bag Goddess for always having such fun patterns to make, and for including me in her test team and to make tutorials. I just appreciate being asked. I really do. I love making these bags. So I hope that you'll grab this pattern. I hope that you'll make this also, because I really do think that you're going to love it just as much as I do. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you soon.